In a world of won't Ferrells, be a Will Ferrell.
Welcome back to HIVEMIND Unlimited.
And welcome to another episode of our movie segment, How Did It Age? Where we watch older movies and reevaluate them with modern context. Today's movie is Elf.
That's right, Riley. It's a 2003 Jon Favreau directed. You might recognize that name from Swingers.
And you might recognize this movie's theme from Christmas, the holiday.
That's true, man. It is very successful Christmas movie, probably the most successful modern Christmas movie. It raked in $228.9 million against a $33 million budget.
Whoa.
That's huge. It has the second highest grossing soundtrack for a holiday movie ever, only to Polar Express.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Hot Chocolate song went number one in the UK. So I think that's why.
What Hot Chocolate song?
The Hot Chocolate song from the CGI Tom Hanks Polar Express.
How does that, okay.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. Hot
Goes
chocolate.
crazy.
Hot chocolate. Hot chocolate.
It's like the same beat as the thong song.
Oh, dun, 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 dun.
This movie stars James Caan, Zooey Deschanel, Mary Steenburgen, who you might recognize from Step Brothers, and Ed Asner as Santa, and Bob Newhart, and several others.
And Mary Steenburgen, if I remember correctly, got hit in the head and knew how to sing jazz or something.
Yeah, and we'll get to it in the last scene. She joins in on the caroling, and it's really funny, and kudos to her good acting because she sings like shit.
Yeah.
And it was literally like 2 years prior she hit her head and became a professional songwriter.
Yeah.
She just woke up with music in her head. It's one of the greatest stories in Hollywood history. It's written by Dave Brenneman, who's a guy. He wrote this in 93 and originally imagined Chris Farley, yet again, who you might remember from the Shrek thing we did, and he was supposed to be Shrek or was Shrek. And he also had it written for Jim Carrey. He wanted one of those two guys. And the original script was much like grittier or like nasty, more like adult humor, and it was going to be, I don't know, just a little more off the chain.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau really wanted it to be more reminiscent of the Rankin Bass classic Christmas TV special movies from like the late 60s, early 70s. The Island of Misfit Toys and all that stuff.
Right.
Like, the little drummer boy thing. And so that's why you get like the storybook motif in the beginning and the end and stuff.
You get some claymation.
Yeah, and they really toned it down to make it a PG movie because Favreau thought it was going to be a PG-13 movie in its original conception.
I think you meant to say Brennenbaum there, bro.
Brennenbaum, that's
Brother.
right. Yeah, I get names all sorts of mixed up in my little goofy mind.
Dude, your mind is a playground and a carnival and a party and a reception and a wedding and a funeral all at the same time.
Thanks, man. This movie is pretty universally loved, 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 3.4 out of letterboxd, and our guy, Raj, gave it a 3 out of 4.
That's good.
And he had a nice little quote that I'm going to read right off my phone because I'm just going to pull back the curtain. I'm not perfect.
Okay, and I want to point out something really, really quick. Raj, when we pull that up, he has a website and he doesn't write all of those reviews.
Well, because he's dead.
Well, no, I know. But I'm just saying, I just wanted to like let the people know because I didn't know 100%. Like I was like, okay, some of these older movies that might actually have been written by him, but some of the ones that like creep a little bit newer, a lot of these reviews were just written by somebody who works for that website.
Right.
Cool. Just
I think he wrote for The Sun or something.
We always just pull up like a picture, like it has like a picture of him rising out of his review, like ooh,
rising
it's
from
not,
the grave.
But sometimes it's just like some random dude or
but he's
woman.
the authority on music reviews.
Music reviews. I'd like to read some of those.
Shit! His quote is, "This is one of those rare Christmas comedies that has a heart, a brain, and a wicked sense of humor, and it charms the socks right off the mantelpiece. I thought that was nice. Thank you, Raj. May you rest in peace."
I didn't mean to undermine the section where we talk about Roger's reviews. I just wanted to give some more context to the viewer who might be stupid like me.
You are stupid.
I'm the dumb guy. You know, he's a genius. I sit next to him. He makes me look even stupider than I am. And, you know, so that's the kind of the thing of the show. So if you relate to me, it's kind of like I'm SpongeBob and he's Squidward.
Okay. There's a bunch of hidden, really fun things in this movie that I'll pull up or I'll bring up as we go through scenes and stuff. But the one I want to say just before we get started is that Ming Ming, the lead elf in the workshop, is actually Peter Billingsley, who plays Ralphie in The Christmas Story. And he and Favreau have like a long-standing relationship, and he was like a scientist in Iron Man, and like he appears in another movie Favreau did or whatever, but it's just funny that that's Ralphie from The Christmas Story, and here he is again as a magical Christmas elf. You know what Favreau does a lot?
Huh.
Forced perspective is used constantly in this movie, and kind of, you know, as a cheeky children's Christmas movie can be overlooked, but there's a ton of like crafty cinematography, all the shots with the elves. A lot of times, you know, the human actor or the person playing a human is like sitting up front and the elves are 10 to 12 feet behind, especially like in the classroom scene. Will Ferrell's actually like 10 feet in front of all the children, and they give them like a mark on the wall to look at, so it looks like they're looking at them. And like the behind the scenes is like when you look at it from the front, they'll like spin a set, and so many people are in like these weird little different positions. And in the last scene where Will Ferrell sits on Papa Elf's lap, like with his kid, that's actually a child actor's legs up front, and then Papa Elf like squatting behind, and then Will Ferrell sits on those legs. It's like 3 people like all around just to make it look like Will Ferrell's huge, which is fun. And like kudos to Favreau for being a good director and bringing some of that in, and big Lord of the Rings fan. And that was made famous, Peter Jackson with the Hobbits and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And you love that because you love forcing your perspective on people. You love a forced perspective.
Oh yeah. Cornel West.
Right. Had you seen this movie before?
I think only like once.
Yeah, you said that while we were watching it, and I was like, what? I've seen this movie like 50 times.
My household is very much more classic Christmas movies. If anything, Christmas Story will maybe be on, but we're not like never were a big holiday family. My mom would read me the Polar Express on Christmas Eve. That was like our one little tradition, but we'd never like watch. I don't know. My dad would make me watch Die Hard shirtless with him.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's technically a Christmas movie.
I know. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know. I'm fine with whatever you want as a society.
Do you like our matching sweatshirts?
They're not matching. This is my sister's business, and that's a witch house artist.
Yeah, but they're the same color.
My sister
did that
does
on purpose.
My sister does like witches.
Yeah, your sister is like literally a witch in like a good way, though.
Yeah. What's a bad way?
Unadulterated loathing.
Don't call her that.
Oh, sorry. It's wicked.
What the fuck is that?
Well, it's a movie musical. It's a new one.
I don't know what any of that is.
I know, but it's based off Wizard of Oz. It's like a fan fiction.
What the fuck is that? A fan fiction? Huh?
In the Emerald City. Ow!
Let's do best lines.
I'm kind of sick right now. I'm sorry. There are a lot of lines from this movie that I didn't realize, I guess, in my mind. I had them placed somewhere in this vein, but didn't realize they're like, you sit on a throne of lies.
Yeah, that's
People
great.
say that all the time.
Well, I think that's like a Shakespeare quote.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that.
This movie is deep as hell, man.
I don't think
deep
Brennan
as the
Baum-
Mariana Trench.
Brennan
Because
Baum
while they're
did it.
pulling from Shakespeare, I mean, Will Ferrell deserved the Oscar.
I do like, I'm a cotton-headed mini muggins.
Yeah, cotton-headed ninny muggins.
Because that like sounds like an elf slur.
Yeah, you wrote mini.
Whatever. Maybe it auto-corrected. Maybe I wrote ninny.
I'm just saying,
How
said.
do you know?
I mean, I know. I'm just letting you know that it's ninny muggins.
See, that sounds more like a slur.
I know.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out how close it is to a slur.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds fucked up.
Yeah.
But people use it.
Fun little fact for you here.
Sure.
In the early beginnings, when Santa's giving Buddy advice on New York, and he says some funny things, he's like, there are like 30 Ray's pizzas, and they all claim to be the original, but the original is on 11th. Ray's Pizza is a real thing, and Jon Favreau loves it, and it's in like all the Iron Mans. He like Peter Billingsley brings a Ray's Pizza back and is like, just because I brought a pizza back from New York doesn't mean it's bad. And there's a scene where they're like eating Ray's Pizza. It's on the box.
Oh, okay.
So that's like fun.
Sure. I guess, yeah.
If you're in New York and you've been to the original Ray's Pizza and you're Chinese, of course, comment downstairs.
Yeah. One line that I really liked that I didn't remember from this movie is when Buddy is talking to the fake Santa inside the mall, and he says, "You smell like beef and cheese. You don't smell like Santa." You smell like beef and cheese.
I love during that scene when he calls him fake, the little kid says fake like 4 straight times under his breath, and it like definitely wasn't scripted. He calls Santa fake, and the kid goes, He's just like repeating what Will Ferrell said. Is so funny. Yeah, I love the store dynamic, Gimbals or whatever.
Gimbals.
Macy's wouldn't let him. They said they'd let him use the store, but they couldn't use the Macy's name. And Gimbals is like an old New York institution. It was like across the street from Macy's back in the day.
Oh, okay.
There's a little fun history for you.
Yeah, I think it's funny that like he gets kicked out of his dad's office and he's walking down the street, and then they're like the security guard's like, go back to Gimbals. Yeah. And then he's just like, okay, so they told me to go to Gimbals, so I'll go there. That's the Christmas store.
That's Will Ferrell's brother who yells at him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, I'm loaded with him today.
Hey, you got a lot of lore for me.
Shooting from the hip. I love when he's first there and Faison Love's character, who's like the manager of the store, is supposed to be played by Wanda Sykes, and you can tell because the name tag on Faison's shirt still says Wanda. I'm shooting, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. He says Santa's coming to town tomorrow, and Will Ferrell just screams, Santa! It's like one of the funniest lines in the movie. Totally improv too. Just so. Yeah, it's not a written line.
That whole scene is awesome.
Yeah. I think my favorite line in the whole thing is when he gets to his dad's office and the receptionist is having a conversation before he walks up. And she's like, oh, I don't know, Connie. I've never declawed kittens before. And then she's like, how many of them are there? She's like, 8. She's like, all right. And then she's like, bring them by the trailer next weekend. And then she's like, oh, no, I'm not going to charge you. She's like, no, I've never declawed kittens. Like, she's declawed other things. Kind of shocked by the amount of them, and then reluctantly agrees to do it at a trailer, and then, like, maybe likes it enough or is so good at it that she's, no, I'm not going to charge you. Of course not.
I love that, like, in between that, she's like, I don't know if I'm going to have time. like, she has time for 4 kittens, but not 8, you know? Like, it's a very, like, I love those, like, background conversations that they're like, just say random shit, you know?
Oh, I don't know, Connie. I've never declawed kittens before. It's kind of like
Connie's
dark.
Such a funny name too for the other person.
That's awesome.
My favorite line in the entire movie, and I get it, like it gets quoted a lot and it's maybe a little bit basic, but just when the phone rings in Buddy's dad's office and he jumps across the desk, picks it up and says, Buddy the elf, what's your favorite color? It's like, what would he say to like when answering the phone? And why does he knows phone etiquette in terms of rhythm and stuff. Like, not like it's like, blah, 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 this person's office. Like, he's just like, Buddy the elf, what's your favorite color? Like, right away.
Color seems to be an important role in elf culture.
I think one of the funniest things about this movie is like the lore they've created for elf culture.
Yes.
It was like an unnecessary detail that they love sugar and to eat like only dessert and candy.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't have to have it, but it lets Will Ferrell do a bunch of like physical comedy where he like drinks a whole 2-liter soda and he's he's making like sugar spaghetti and like all that shit. Yeah. But it's like, you didn't need to have that. Like, that's not a thing I thought about elves before this.
Yeah, they've just like really personified them with like childlike charm or something.
Right.
They're like these blissful little children. And in one of the storybook pages, they never say it, but it says one of the rules of elves, or like one of their things, is that elves cannot tell a lie.
Yeah.
And then so like under that assumption, and then given these other, like this guy can live off of sugar, it kind of gives him a non-human quality, even though he is human, which is fun.
Right. Yeah. There's like a big joy thing. Like joy.
Joy.
Life is beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very unaffected and numb. And I was going to bring this up in scenes too, but I think that's what's brilliant about this movie is contrasting that like life outlook and perspective with New York City. Yeah. Because even to like the regular person, if somebody's this happy when you're around, you're like, oh my gosh, that's what the heck is going on? This person is like crazy. New York City, if you do that, there is such a stark contrast between like the grittiness of a New York City. Like, they are dismissive to strangers and can be argumentative and,
hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah, all that. Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, I love you. I love you. I love you. Like, he's like a guy on Molly in New York City, you know?
Like you said, that big burp scene. This might be the last fun fact, but boy, is this one fun. So everybody buckle up. The burp is voiced over by someone, and I was like, that's funny, because I was just looking at like the voice actors in it and any special effects and stuff. That burp was done by Maurice LaMarche, who is the brain in Animaniacs. He voices the brain in Animaniacs.
Oh, okay.
I was like, they called in the brain. They're like, brain, get in there. Just does a big burp.
I thought it was the Burp King of Westchester.
No, that's a big misconception. Yeah.
Okay.
He was booked.
I also thought it wasn't a real burp. I mean, it's so obviously voiced over, but I thought that maybe it was just like some sort of
sound,
like synth, like really low synth. They went. I thought Trent Reznor did that one.
I love when Faison Love is freaking out about like, you know, the snowflakes being up and he thinks corporate's in or whatever. And they're looking at him and he says, if you get word of anything, call me on my radio. Channel 3. Code word is Santa got a brand new bag.
Yeah. I was saying when we were watching this too, it's very funny that he comes over and he's like, we live and die as a team. Like, I need you guys with me on this. Like, corporate is sending people in. They're gunning for my job, all this. And I was like, Buddy started working there yesterday. And he's going up to him being like, you got to trust me. Stick with me. We're a team. Yeah. I'm like, you don't do that to a new employee.
I do like James Caan and Will Ferrell's like initial dialogue throughout this whole thing is really funny. It's his father. And when he wakes up the first day, he goes, okay, Dad, I planned out our whole day. First, we're going to make snow angels for 2 hours. And then he just like continues down this list, but the snow angels for 2 hours is just awesome.
Oh, I mean, everything that he lists and tries to do, and he has it on an Etch-a-Sketch, and it's like perfect on the Etch-a-Sketch.
That's a great detail.
And I really, really love that, like, his emotions in this movie are very, like, happy, excited, and then, like, sad, but never fully sad. More like, you know, disappointed by a situation or feeling like, I need to get away from everybody because I'm burdening them or whatever. And one thing I love in that scene is that he gets to do the thing where his dad is kind of like, I got to go to work, buddy. And then he's just like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. like he does like a, oh yeah, no, he's like shaking the Etch-a-Sketch and he's like,
stupid idea.
Yeah, stupid idea. Don't worry about it. Like, you know, he doesn't get to do a lot of that in this movie. And so I do love that in that scene.
Two other lines I really love come from two of my favorite scenes. One line, the I'm only 26 years old line.
Oh,
from the old mailroom guy that gets Buddy hammered because he thinks his drinking or his liquor is syrup. Yeah. And then they're laying on the pile of mail and he's like, I'm only 26, man. I got so many ideas.
He goes, I'm 26 years old and I got nothing to show for it. And then he's like, I got ideas. And he's like, you have great ideas, man. Like, he's like, I'm going to say it. You're my best friend. That's it. You're my best friend. They just love each other. It's so funny.
Great scene.
One of my favorite line deliveries in this entire movie is at the end when Buddy's dad is having the pitch meeting with Miles Finch, who's played by Peter Dinklage. And Buddy just like storms into the room and spins and goes, I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it, and throws his hat.
He's doing like an old 50s movie thing.
Yeah, he's in like a trench coat and he's like throws his fur cap and goes, I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it.
That would be funny to me if I believed in love.
Do you believe in magic?
Yeah.
In a young girl's heart?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I believe in magic in general.
Yeah, straight up.
I saw David Blaine eat a snail.
I believe in
nail. Sorry, it was a nail.
I believe in the magic, but they do have a lot of injuries. Paolo going to be out for a while.
Yeah, but the Wagner brothers seem to have really taken a leap this year, sadly.
One of the Wagners, I'm pretty sure, is out for the season.
Mo. Franz is balling, though. No Mo game for him. I love when Peter Dinklage says, I have houses in L.A., Paris, and Vail, each with a 70-inch plasma screen TV. It's like such a 2003 flex. Yeah. I have a plasma in each of my houses.
70-inch.
Yeah, 70-inch plasma. That is just so funny.
The only other line that competes for my favorite in this movie is at the very end when Buddy is writing the letter to leave behind, to apologize for his behavior to his family and feels like, you know, he's been cast out, all this. And he says, I'm sorry I ruined your lives and crammed 11 cookies into the VCR. I love that line so much because it's like starts with, I'm sorry I ruined your lives. And then it has one specific thing that he did, crammed 11 cookies into the VCR.
Yeah.
Which is something a baby would do. And he's a 30-year-old man.
Yeah. That one works. And there definitely is an intention in this movie to like kind of avoid technology in 2003-ism stuff. But when it does slip in, it's funny. I think they did that intentionally to make it like the timeless Christmas movie. That's not like, there's no like old cell phones or like, there's not even really a scene where anybody's like watching TV or anything. But then, the VCR and then the plasma mention are like the two that are like, those are funny.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. My last line that I really love is when the guy from Veep, I forget his name, DK, hook us up. the guy from Veep. He's getting interviewed by the news lady after Santa's crashed, and he completely improvs a scene where he's just like fawning over the news lady.
He's just hitting on her.
He's like, your eyes tell the story. That's why I love you, and you have a great mouth. And anyway, Santa crashed over there. It's another one of those ones that like teeters on a little too of adult humor, like telling a woman she has a great mouth on television.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like it breathes right by it.
I was gonna do that whole scene because like there's something about it. There's the condescending main news anchor who's like, sorry to interrupt your first news story about Charlotte, and then it like cuts back to her and she's just getting hit on. I was just like,
and then when he gets to the book, it's like her boyfriend's dragging his feet and won't pop the big question.
Yeah,
we'll get to that whole scene later, but I love that. You got a great mouth is just like a sneaky, funny line. And she's breaking the whole time because he's improv all those lines. So she's just like, all right, let's get into some scenes. I'm going to start with the problematic scene, the shower scene.
I was thinking about this. Like, it's problematic, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it's a man going into the women's locker room is what they're calling
which
it.
They have at Gimbel's.
Yeah, apparently. And her water has been turned off, so she's taking a shower there and singing. I will say that, like, it's strange because they do make Buddy, as the main character in this movie, seem to not have, like, a devious bone in his body.
Right.
He doesn't seem perverted. He doesn't seem, like, there's nothing about...
carnal.
No, and so, like, he's in there, and it seems like, truly, the reason that he's in there is because he heard singing and wanted to sing.
Yeah, I mean, that it definitely is it, but it's just like, couldn't we have done like, you know, maybe she's like hanging clothes in the corner of the store and singing and he creeps up behind her or something. Like just the fact that it has to be like in the shower and you see kind of bare shoulder Zooey Deschanel. It's like, I don't know. It's a little weird.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that it's Baby, It's Cold Outside, I thought about that too, where I was like, that's like the creepiest Christmas song.
It's sexual.
But it's also the only one that has that duet thing to it.
Right.
And so I was kind of like, it has to be that one.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were thinking like, oh, let's make it like imply.
Also, I've been reading a little bit. There's a whole other side of that argument that that song is about a couple, and halfway through the song, she turns it on him and is flirting on him too, and they're just kind of joking around. Mm-hmm. It's not like a song, you know?
Right.
There's that argument too. Maybe Favreau's in that camp.
So what you're saying basically is that blame women?
Yeah.
The creepy man from that song actually was egged on by the woman.
Halfway through, yeah.
Okay, and then she flips it on him and gets too aggressive, and he doesn't, and it's wrong.
It's because what she was wearing.
Okay.
It is also weird too that Zooey like wants to fuck on him too.
Oh, I wrote a whole thing about that.
Okay,
yeah, I wrote a big. Well,
I'll
yeah.
gloss over some.
Actually,
fun.
I'll just read it now.
Go ahead.
I have to first just say, Jovi. That's not a name. Don't know why that's the name of the character.
Bon John Jovi.
It's so weird that her name is Jovi. Whatever. I wrote this. Jovi being a hot single girl in New York City, just totally down to go out with this man who, outside of the context of this movie, would come across as someone who has significant developmental problems or had a psychotic break. It is so strange that she has any interest in him whatsoever because he's acting like a child.
We learned that her water got shut off. She kind of like hates the job. I feel like it's implied that she's like the bogged down, jaded girl in New York whose dreams maybe haven't all come to fruition. She doesn't have much money.
Right.
And then so she's kind of down to go on this date with a guy who just like wants to run around and look at Christmas lights. I don't know. Maybe she's being courted by like a rich man or something. Like there's something to that dynamic where it's like, oh, she's being reintroduced to the simple joys of life through this severely autistic elf man.
Right. Like he has like Peter Pan syndrome, basically. And
what the hell is that? He can fly?
No, it's because he's dressed green. No, no. It's like that thing that like they say Michael Jackson had.
Oh yeah,
where it's like you get stunted at like 14.
An arrested development,
right,
if you will.
Yeah, and so I think that was Jason Bateman.
Fuck off.
It seems like
I knew you were gonna do. I wanted to go buy that so bad, and you took 2 beats and you just couldn't help yourself.
Yeah, what kind of name is Jovi?
John Bon Jovi.
I get it.
85 likes the Bond.
I bet that's true, but yeah, I'm just like, it feels very strange that there's a romantic element to this, and that it's hard to believe watching it as an adult that she would have any interest. I feel like she would just work at that job and be like, God, this guy's annoying. And that's it.
Yeah. Why didn't she DM me?
What?
Zoe?
It was 2003, dude. Oh, you were like 9 years old.
Oh, fuck. No, now.
What?
Why won't she call me now?
She's married to one of the Property brothers.
Who the fuck is that?
The Property brothers?
John or Joe Property?
I don't know their names, but not the emo one, the other one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, and she was married to Ben Gibbard of Death Cab for Cutie and the Postal Service fame.
That's great.
But there was no room in frame for two.
I do like
the Death Cab for Cutie song that he wrote about his divorce with Zooey Deschanel. Go ahead.
I do like that Buddy is such a bad working elf. Like when we get the initial scenes when he's working in the North Pole, that they send him to where the special elves work. That's what Ming Ming labels it. And Ming Ming's Peter Billingsley's character. Why is he Asian? And then his job is just to get spooked by fucking Jack and the Cranks.
Yeah.
And then there's that little menacing scene, like where it's like taunting him. He's like having a bad dream, and it's like the Jack in the Box being like,
yeah,
so funny.
I do love that he's really bad in the North Pole, and then he comes down there and he's like a fucking amazing decorator and like builder, and he could throw snowballs like 500 miles an hour.
But compared to an elf, he's nothing.
Right.
If you let one of those little freaks loose in New York, everyone would be dead and decorated.
Yeah, decorated and dead.
One of the best scenes is when he first gets to New York and just him interacting with all the New York things, the people, the world's best cup of coffee thing.
I like that joke. It's like a dumb, like really mainstream, normal, like your dad would find it funny sort of thing. But it's like, he's like, that's not just any cup of coffee. That's the best cup of coffee in the world.
It's well done how they like illuminate his naivete.
Yes, exactly.
It's perfect. He just has so much fun. And that scene is shot on the last day of production, guerrilla style. Just one cameraman and Will Ferrell. And they actually just went out into New York City and fucked around for like 4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy in the all red isn't an actor. Like all the people he's interacting with are just people on the street. It's just Will Ferrell doing man on the street comedy in New York in a big elf suit. And there's like some background people that you can see in certain frames that are like turning and looking and just laughing because he's like fresh off of SNL. So they like all recognize him and he's just freaking out in New York. It's really funny. I'm glad they shot it like that because it works really well.
Yeah. Perhaps my favorite set of scenes in this entire movie is the doctor's office scenes.
Yeah, I love those. I have those written down as well.
Oh, yeah. Like when Buddy is eating the cotton balls and just kind of like that hesitant thing where the dad's like, I can't believe I have to stop him from like eating cotton balls. And he's just like, oh. And he's like so pleased with himself. And he does like magic tricks and shit. And then the doctor starts to do like, say he's going to do the finger prick. Yeah. And I love that. Again, he's so naive. He's like, ooh, a finger prick. I'm excited. Like, blah, blah, blah. And he's just asking questions. He's like, why is there a skeleton over there? It's like really like ADD.
Yeah, super
like,
ADD.
He's just like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, and he's just so curious and fascinated with everything. Then that happens. And any amount of pain that happens to him in this movie, he freaks out. He is like, like with anything, like he gets pricked in the finger.
It's like I can feel my heartbeat through my finger.
Yeah. And then it cuts to the waiting room scene with that girl, which is like a classic movie scene. Like you get just like a magical kind of dynamic there. The performance by this little girl is so good. I love that he's like, I'm a human raised by elves. And then she's like, oh, that's cool. I'm a human raised by humans. Yeah. Like very good back and forth between them. And she has a little smirk on her face too. She's like, And
she like toughens him up. Yeah. He's like, oh my God, I can feel my heart beating. She's like, it'll stop after a while. She's like, it's okay. Yeah. She's like 5. Yeah. She gets reprised in the scene where Michael's reading Santa's list on the news to kind of prove to everyone. Yeah. And that's like one of my favorite sequences of scenes. I actually felt warm during this scene. It like cuts to all the kids and like, as he's reading their names and what they want, he's like, Elroy wants an electric guitar. And the kid's like, yes. Yeah. And then it like cuts to other people and they're like, oh yeah. And then one's with her mom and she's like, I do want that.
And then they got the dude in the bar where they say like he wants a
at-home spa thing. He's like, must be another day.
Yeah.
And when it does Caroline's, she wants like a talking Sally or something. She's like, thanks, buddy. Because she now has this relationship with Santa's helper.
Yeah.
So cute.
And then she sings along when they start singing. It cuts to her. And it's nice.
Awesome.
It's nice.
Yeah.
One thing that I love about Michael, which is the brother, Buddy's brother, is the turnaround that this kid has is the quickest I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, I know, yeah.
He is like, this dude is a freak. I have to avoid him. And then literally he helps him in a snowball fight, and it instantly cuts to a montage of them being best friends.
Best buddies.
It is insane how that happens.
Well, I think the kid is deprived of attention and stuff because the dad, James Caan, is like neglectful father. And when Buddy even says, like, in that montage, he's like, he's the best dad ever. He's like, what? I'm like, the worst dad ever. Like, he like doesn't get a hug.
They do it quick.
Yeah. And then like when he gets this attention or has like a big brother figure, he's like quick to attach to him. Snowball fighting scene, obviously we can't move out of this without talking about it. It's pretty electric. There's like the homage to the Nick Cage movie with the double guns where he throws the snowball there. And then I love that the last snowball he throws is the one Michael hands him. Because Buddy makes like 25, and then Michael only has time for the one, and then he hands him that one, and that's the one that hits the last one. There's like kind of like a sickening amount of little details in this that are all like very intent on being charmful or like charming.
And that kid died. The last kid they hit when like on set that day, the kid fell over and hit his head on concrete, died, bled out.
And both his lungs collapsed when the snowball hit him because Will Ferrell has a fucking cannon.
He has a cannon for an arm.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say too in the doctor's office scenes for everybody that doesn't know, that's Jon Favreau.
Oh yeah, he's the doctor.
That's a great little cameo right there. And Brennan Baum has a cameo reading the newspaper when Dinklage walks into the office. Oh. That's a problematic scene too that I'd like to point out.
Yeah.
How that's chosen to be shot and just like the exploitation of Dinklage's miniature nature.
Dwarfism.
We don't know if it's dwarfism. It could be a miniature.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Why are you putting me in? I'd be like, I don't know.
I don't know, but you assumed dwarfism, and I know there's a difference.
Peter Dinklage is a little person.
Yes.
And they kind of exploit that to compare it to elves in this movie, and the way that they shoot it is like, you don't
elevator
see
door
anything.
opens and no one's there.
Yeah, you don't see like
you just hear footsteps and see people reacting.
Yeah.
And they do make him like he is like this powerful figure in that industry, which is good. It's not like he's not like a doofus or anything. And he's like rich, and he does tell Buddy he gets more action in a week than he has in his life, which is like Dinklage is like, I'm getting laid a lot and I have plasmas in a house in Vale. So like they do give him that characteristic.
Vale is awesome, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's the powder.
I love the powder.
And I ain't talking the type on the mountains. Yeah, but then the whole Buddy just playing with like, oh, he thinks he's an elf, and he's like, oh, Santa must be mad at you or something.
He's an
like,
angry elf.
Yeah, like that scene sucks. They could have done that better.
Yeah, I love when James Caan is explaining the situation to Mary Steenburgen, and she's like, oh, you have a son, that's great, like blah blah blah. And he's like, honey, he thinks he's an elf, and then she's like, what? And he's like, he thinks he's a Christmas elf. And she's like, oh, I'm sure it's not so. And then she opens the door and it's like decorated like Christmas in there. But just James Caan's delivery.
It's fucking Sonny Corleone, bro, from The Godfather. It's like a serious actor. And he slips into his Sonny Corleone voice in that last scene.
Oh, yeah.
Where Michael like comes and breaks up the meeting pitch. It's like, we have to find Buddy, he ran away. And then the boss yells at him and he like delivers like 2 lines as if it was The Godfather. He puts the gangster accent back on, which I think is so funny and definitely was like Favreau being like, do The Godfather right here. Like, you're pissed. You're breaking character. And he's like, yeah, nice try. Don't talk to my boy like that.
Yeah. And he goes, up yours.
Yeah, up yours.
Up yours.
And then him and Michael have a synchronized double fist bump. He's like, let's go.
They have no history of a good father-son relationship and immediately assume a secret handshake. It is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Yeah, I did write that that's dumb. I actually don't like that. Like here's the thing. Just the timeline of it, okay? Buddy ruins that one meeting with Miles, and then he tells him to get out of his life forever. He goes, get out of my life. An hour later, they're like, guess what we got? Miles' notebook. Time to steal one of his stories.
Yeah.
They storyboard it, have another meeting. His other son comes in and goes, the son that you told to get out of his life, we don't know where he is. And he goes, if you leave, you lose your job. And he goes, you know what? F you. I'm choosing family over work. I'm like, that's 2 hours later. There's no way that happens.
I think, I don't know. He really wants a relationship with his son, I guess, and saw an opportunity and took it like a boss.
Like a boss. Yeah. Right. Last scene we got to talk about, the mailroom. Oh, man. The dance that Will Ferrell does there is unbelievable.
He's doing a traditional, like, Yiddish, like a Jewish dance.
Yeah.
That's a funny twist for an elf who's, like, obviously a Christian slave.
Oh, wait, what the hell?
Because he works for Santa.
I think they probably get paid in gumdrops.
Gummy bears. Yeah, this thing, the progression of him being, like, let down by the lack of shininess and glamour in the mailroom to then drinking with our 26-year-old pal and then dancing, and the whole place is like, hey.
Yeah, they're like, whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's really good. And then they're like his boys, and when they see him back on the screen later, they're like, yeah!
Yeah, they love him.
Yeah. Shout out to mailroom, man.
And the female room and the non-binary room. I said they'd probably handle the little person stuff a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't even think it would have to be. It doesn't have to be in there.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be in there. The shower scene doesn't have to be in there.
I was going to say, I think the shower scene would be, they'd show it.
They'd show the titties.
They'd show all of it.
The titties and the crack.
They'd show everything.
Yeah, but it'd be prosthetic. Just like the substance. That wasn't Margaret Qualley's rack. People.
Nobody thought it was. Her nipples were tiny and orange. Like bright orange.
Your nipples are tiny and orange?
No, they're not. They're tiny and brown.
I wrote that there's kind of an interesting conversation that should be had about like the potential for this whimsy and classical Christmas movie to be kind of redone, because we're on the heels of Red One, which is like Taken, but it's Dwayne Johnson capturing a kidnapped Santa.
The Rock.
Yeah. It's him
and J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, it's like an action Christmas movie, and it seems like we're more so in an era of like, let's take all the tropes from Christmas and just put it in like a $200 million big time action budget. I don't know if we could make something as like harmless and whimsical as this like now.
I feel like we could.
I mean, I think it'd be nice, but I just have a tough time seeing Hollywood like greenlighting something as like not flashy. I feel like they want CGI. They want an explosion in Santa's sleigh and like.
Yeah, I feel like you know, there's gonna be a world shaker. There's gonna be somebody who shakes things up, brings it back. You know, right now, it is a lot of phoning it in. I'll admit it. There's a lot of remakes. It's a lot of old ideas. It's a lot of, hey, this famous actor plus this famous actor equals money. I don't care who writes the movie.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be somebody who comes in and shakes things up, absolutely turns the industry on its head.
You got to be the change you want to see in the world, man.
You think I could do it?
Joy.
I'll do it. I'll shake the industry up. I've got ideas for movies that would blow your little minds. It's me blowing your minds. Let me at it. Come on, Spielberg. Give me a shot. I don't know. Whatever, dude.
Yeah, that's how I think those two scenes really would be changed. And then I don't know if there's ever an opportunity to make something like this, at least not in the current state of film.
I got Kristen Wiig as Buddy.
Love that.
And then Ryan Gosling as Jovi.
Ew. I hate Goss.
I'm saying, like, think about, he would play a good Jovi, though. He'd be like, he's a good singer, and he's cute.
Hot Goss.
He's like a good-looking guy. Yeah. And Kristen Wiig can do that kind of like childish thing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that was more like if it was recast like 5 years after it came out.
Yeah.
Because I do think it would be a girl elf this time.
Of course.
And I can't think of a lot of actresses right now who I think would like really do that are actually like established enough to do it. Like, our friend like Veronica would be like very good at doing something like that, being childish, but also like being able to like make that the worldview is like all I know is happiness and this unaffected thing, and I'm facing a world that is very cruel. There's a lot of like younger comedians right now who I feel like could inhabit that role, but I don't see like a star right now that could do it. And then Ryan Gosling is like a hot guy. He could play whatever age too.
Hot Goss.
He'll be like the 28-year-old guy who works at Gimbles.
What?
Gimbles? Gimbless.
I just wrote Kevin Hart and CGI Tom Hanks, ?
Oh, wow. Great work.
Because I thought it was, thank you. Sorry, I was too busy gathering all those quick facts. Kevin Hart's black, and that'd be different than big white Will Ferrell. He's little black Kevin Hart. And then CGI Tom Hanks made famous by Polar Express. And so he could
do like a cameo, so that they would do
something like that.
It would do well.
Weird Christmas noise.
What does he play?
In Polar Express, every character.
No, I'm saying
it's amazing, dude.
What is he gonna play?
It's like he was in NBA 2K.
What's he gonna do in Elf?
What?
In the Elf remake with Kevin Hart.
He can do that.
So Kevin Hart plays Buddy.
Yeah.
And then
Tom Hanks is CGI and he walks out of the Hilton Hotel and goes,
okay.
And people go, Christmas. Hi.
It sounds like a great movie idea.
Yeah, I'm not really here for all that stuff. I'm more with the quick facts.
Pretty good. I mean, it's a lot of Christmas songs.
Oh, I mean, it's a great soundtrack. You got Billy Preston in there. The Zooey Deschanel cover of Baby It's Cold Outside that plays, obviously, that she sings in the steamy shower. But then they do like a full version. She duets it with someone. Oh, yeah, it's Leon Redbone.
Oh, yeah.
Who voices the snowman. The kind of hip snowman who's like talking to him. He's like, I remember when I was a young cumulonimbus cloud, which is weird that he had memory when he was a cloud.
Yeah.
That song went gold and like charted all over the place.
We also got Winter Wonderland by Ray Charles. That one's in here.
I love the opening tune when they get to New York. It's Pennies Fall from Heaven by Louis Prima.
Shoopy doopy.
When it rains, pennies fall from heaven. Shoopy doopy.
Yeah, we love that song outside of this movie. Like, it's a great song.
It's good choosing of songs. And there's another Louis Prima song. It's cohesive, and they're not all exclusively Christmas songs, and they're just really good choices. And I feel like that adds so much to a movie that like is intentionally kind of not like shallow, but the depth of everything is just kind of like everything's kind of forgiven. Like there's magic at play. It's just about Christmas joy. We all get what's going on. You don't have to dive in too deep. And it just has these nice little needle drops throughout it that I feel like really do a good job of making it more of like, boom, this is a film. Like it's big time.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a Christmas movie. Why'd you guys laugh?
Nothing from nothing means nothing. The Beatles made Billy Preston unalive himself.
What?
Yeah, look, you read into that, people. That's another little fun fact.
Santa baby coming down the chimney tonight. I do love Let It Snow is on here too. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Come on. I do love
people.
Christmas music, so I did really like it. I'm just feeling a bit sick right now. It's getting worse as the video's going. So that's why I don't have much to say in these sections.
That's okay. Shout out the soundtrack though. I thought it was
Shoopy doopy.
I thought it was A+. Would you recommend it to someone? Do the
It's the holidays. This is such a crowd pleaser. If you have a family, this is something you can all agree on.
I said absolutely not, unless I was talking to someone who is 12 or under, in which case I shouldn't be there anyway. If I'm having a conversation with an 11-year-old, get me out of there.
Trust me, watch this with your whole family. I know you got like whatever your mom's gonna.
We're watching Nosferatu.
Yeah, whatever. I'm saying watch this with your whole family. Maybe like 2 days before Christmas, you'll have a great time. Especially if you've never seen it. If you like are younger and grew up maybe after this movie was like a Christmas staple for a family, watch it. Yeah. It's really, really good. Christmas movies, as much as there have been good ones, there aren't a lot of like actually fun to watch Christmas movies, and this is that. I do recommend it.
Yeah. Or watch Die Hard with your dad shirtless and grunt.
Yeah. Who's Grunt? Oh, okay. I thought your dad's name was Shirtless. And Grunt! Hey, Grunt, get your ass in here.
What's your letterboxd review, man?
I gave it 4 stars and said a touching story about a man with serious developmental issues finding love in New York City.
I gave it 2.5 stars and I said kind of like Christmas Donnie Darko because I was led to believe that this was all a hallucination by probably a homeless guy.
2.5 stars.
If you think I'm going to give a Christmas movie, a holiday movie of any kind, is going to eclipse 3, you've mistaken me for someone who is not pretentious and still has joy in their heart. Sorry,
I was gonna say,
pal.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, sorry.
I've danced around it a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You're pretentious. About movies specifically.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't like it anymore.
How have you not gotten this?
I don't want to do it
What am
anymore.
I going to be like, oh, Elf, 4 stars. That's as good as fucking Titanic.
Have a good time watching a movie.
I did have a good time, but it doesn't sit on the same shelf, Elf on a Shelf, as movies like, I don't know, the fucking anything that's serious about, it's not as good as Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. That's probably a 4-star movie to me. I'm not going to make Elf sit on that same shelf as Girl with a Dragon Tattoo.
Just because a movie's serious doesn't make it good.
I'm not saying that.
Just because a movie's not serious doesn't make it not good.
But I can't invest myself that much into it. I'm like, oh, Christmas, joy, yeah. I'm not going to, it's not like I left that movie being like, maybe Santa is real. I love my mommy. It's like, get fucked. I don't give a shit.
That's not
There's
how
no
you
cursing.
rate movies.
There's no cursing.
So
how could I like it that much then?
I don't know, but it's ridiculous that you think every movie is graded on this scale of like it has to change your life to be above 3.5 stars. That's crazy.
That's
Sometimes
what
it's just
the
a
ranking means.
No, it isn't. It's about having a nice time.
I did have a nice time, but it's not that good of a movie. It's like listening to like Jingle Bells. Not that great of a song, but once a year, it's kind of fun to sing. I'm not going to watch Elf in July and be like, wow, that really helped me have a good day. I'm gonna be like, that was one of Will Ferrell's worst movies. I'd rather watch Kicking and Screaming in Spanish.
Kicking and Screaming is an awesome movie.
I know. It's way better than Elf.
I love when Beans, I think it's the actor who plays Beans, and even Stevens has a soccer ball in his jersey, and he goes, I'm having a baby. Mike Ditka's in that movie too.
Exactly.
It's awesome. But
so anyway,
real quick, can you tell me the Apocalyptic thing?
Oh yeah.
There's like theories about this movie that we missed.
It's really just one lunatic that was on Reddit. I was scrummaging around yesterday for my fun facts. Bam, bam, bam.
Nice.
There's plenty of room for the both of us in this town. Grab a seat.
Can you just tell us the shit?
Come on, Pilgrim. This movie's got an apocalyptic theory. Yeah, so someone blurted all out on Reddit. I'll start it off this way. Buddy escapes through the 7 layers of the North Pole or whatever, and he says that several times. You know, he recounts it to the kids at the end when he's reading his book.
The 7 layers of the candy cane forest.
Yeah, and it's a, Gumdrop Hill or whatever. Someone was like, that's the 7 layers of hell. That's like Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
He's a human that had access to heaven, like a baby who like snuck into heaven and then like escapes back into the real world and experiences all the pain and suffering of the real world. And then at the end has to stop the apocalypse from happening by like convincing the humans that like God is real, Santa being God there, and the apocalypse allegory being the 4 horsemen or the 4 rangers of Central Park.
Yep.
And so it's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse that appear. And he like went on into grave detail and like all these other little moments, like here's Jesus. Oh, and then he meets Peter in the elevator. And it's like, it's far stretched, but it did line up enough times. And it is weird that there's 7 layers leaving the North Pole. And they're kind of like these immortal little elves that live in a fantasy land. And there's talking critters and stuff. I thought it was fun. After doing further research, I kind of rolling my eyes at it because it turns out Jon Favreau just loved Lord of the Rings, as did everyone in 2003.
Yeah.
And he kind of wanted to do an homage to the Wraiths, those like evil riders that try and get the little ring for the cock ring from Frodo. I like the idea that someone watched this and was like, yeah, this is about like the Bible and a fallen angel and the apocalypse. It's cool. So take from that what you will. That was just one last little for you. Yeah. I love doing these, man. I feel like we killed this one today.
Yeah, it's great.
That was another episode of How Did Age. Happy holidays, whichever one you celebrate. Don't let 2 white guys talking about Christmas give you a bad taste in your mouth.
It is the best one, though.
Save that for your mom's cooking. Holidays suck, man. Just deal with it. Try and spread some joy while you're at it. And we love you.
Yeah, spend time with your family, have fun, play some board games, watch some movies, draw, stuff like that, and just make the most of it. Make sure you hug your mom and your dad and your brother, sister, cousin, sibling, and all of them, and say, hey, I love you, because if this might be the last time I see you.
That's nice.
Make sure you can tell everyone it might be the last time you see them. Make sure to do that this holiday season. And other than that, make sure you like the video and subscribe to it. Let us know what movie you want us to do next. Also, join our Patreon, only $5 a month, and you get to see what movie we're watching for this series a week ahead of time. So you can watch the movie, then watch our video about it, or you can become a member on the main channel, also only $5 a month, HIVEMIND on YouTube.
We love you. Christmas.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
All right, man. What's your letterbox review? Oh, God.
Here he goes.
A little elf. Sorry.
It's so weird. We yell Kronk all the time. He never comes in here. We said grunt this time, and he walked straight in.
Say hi, Kronk.
Hi.